Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just wanted to give you a quick set of tips on creating a professional appearance in MLA. I noticed some people still struggle with their style and their format in MLA. So why is this important? Why do you want to be precise and accurate about your template in MLA format? The most important thing is it shows you care and have pride in your work and that you're being professional. So it immediately sets a tone for how someone will read your work and whether you'll be persuasive. Some quick terms are style. And style here means not like a fashion style, but in a way it is. It's a professional way of doing something. So you want to set up a scholarly document for university work. The font is the typeface used. There are hundreds of fonts available, but here we use only Times New Roman size 12. The header is repeated at the top right. It includes the last name of the author and the page number, and it automatically updates. And this is important because your teacher may be going through a stack of papers and want to look at the upper right and see the name and the page. The heading, different from the header, is the basic information about the paper. So you have the writer's name, the instructor's name, the course with the correct number, and don't forget the section, because your teacher may have 3 English 121s or 4 English 122s, and they need to know, is this 03, is this 04, which one is this? The date, and there's only one MLA format that we'll see, and then I like to include the assignment description, which is an option in MLA, but I would like for you to put it. And then a title related to your thesis. You're now into the paper, so you want it centered and you want it something to do with your thesis. Types of errors in MLA that I see are just a simple error or mistake. Maybe the person just makes a little error. To me, that doesn't count off much, if at all, and should be relatively a rare mistake. A little deeper is a lack of attention to detail. The student doesn't proofread or study the template closely. These could be like just careless errors. Then there's total laziness and neglect, which is just you don't try or have enough pride. And that person may have 2 to 10 errors even before the first line of the paper. Think of what kind of professionalism that shows your reader. Are they going to be persuaded by your argument if you already have 10 errors before you get to the first line of the paper? That's going to hurt your ethos. Our big word for it, or credibility, which relates to the author on the rhetorical triangle. Then there's knowledge base errors. The student doesn't realize there is a certain format or does not know where to find the information. And this often leads to seeming like laziness and neglect, even though it may not be. So you need to take time to gain that knowledge. Let's get all of these corrected in a couple of easy examples here. A couple more terms. A template is simply a starting document that you can use and save over and over to start your papers. Simply download it, update the key information, and you're set. You can find these in D2L content. If you really want it to be difficult, you can learn how to set up your paper in MLA, but this takes numerous steps because MLA opens in a totally different style. Word Microsoft Word opens in a totally different style. If you really want the official download update on it, go to style.mla.org and they will show you the correct style for MLA. Okay, here's a correct example of MLA style. You've got the last name and page in the proper font, Times New Roman 12 point. You may have to change that. The writer's first name and last name, the instructor's name, properly spelled, the composition with the section, the date in the proper MLA format, which is day, month, year with no punctuation. Notice no commas there. And then the assignment title, which might be like exploratory paper. And then your centered title, which should be starting your paper and should have to do with the thesis or the argument. Now you've started your persuasion with your title. So this would be a proper, notice it's also double spaced, the same distance as here. So you want to double space your entire paper starting right here and going all the way through the entire paper, even through the works cited. Now, here's one with some errors. Take a minute and look here. I think there's 8 or so errors down through the first line of this paper. I'm going to pause a minute and just let you look and see how many errors you can detect. Boom, boom. Okay, how many errors did you find? We'll just start at the top. Notice wrong font. And I will often put WTF there on your papers. That doesn't mean a naughty word. That means, what the font? You've put the wrong font. I've actually had students misspell their own name. You don't want to do that. Watch your punctuation. Should be a period, not a comma. Right here, we need the section. Here, we need the correct date form, 1 April 2020. And then we need research paper over here, actually, as the assignment. And then we're actually missing the title. So maybe your title is The Pitch for Robot Umpires. That should be centered. It should be about your paper. It should be already starting your persuasion or hinting at what your thesis will be. Then notice they don't have an indentation, should be 1/2 inch, and then always capitalized the starts of sentences. So they should indent and start the sentence. Some other things to notice is that you have 1 inch margins all around. Your ragged right, meaning you're in and out, and your aligned left, meaning you're right down the line here on the left. You're double spaced throughout the entire paper. So that was one that was kind of messed up, and as you can see, it's easy to have like 8 or 10 errors before you even get started, and that gives the reader a bad credibility or ethos towards you. So here's back to a really nice correct one. They've put the font in Times New Roman, put their name, the instructor's name correctly. They put the section, they put the date form correctly. They put the assignment description, research argument paper, exploratory paper, chapter review, whatever. And then centered, and right here their paper's beginning, they've centered a creative title, The Pitch for Robot Umpires. and then, of course, indented and capitalized. And they have nice 1-inch margins all around. Now your header is actually only a 1/2 inch down, and it's kind of outside the margins in a way, but it's aligned right, and 12-point Times New Roman. A couple of other considerations. Your entire paper is double spaced with no additional spacing. So if you happen to have in these little boxes on your paragraph settings, say 0.6 or 0.12, you're adding spacing, and it will cause you to be triple spaced or double and a half spaced. So you want those to 0, and then you want this double spaced. You want the first line to be indented 1/2 inch. When you go to your works cited, you're going to change that to hanging indent 1/2 inch in the same spot. Paragraph settings. Notice you'll have 1-inch margins aligned left, and you'll leave it ragged right. You want to write with multiple paragraphs. The entire paper should be in Times New Roman 12-point. And when do we get off that sometimes? If we cut and paste something into our paper, say we cut and paste a quote or a citation, we have to check that and change it back. You can do a Control-A to select the entire paper, and then come here and put it on, or put your font on Times New Roman 12-point. Remember, you need a new page for the works cited. That's the only place where you would put any extra spacing between the last words of your paper and the works cited. And it's centered at the top of the page. So, easiest way to get all this is just to please use the template, search D2L content for MLA template, download it, save it to your English folder. That way you won't even have to go to D2L next time. And that makes it really, really easy to do your MLA heading and header. That gives you great ethos. That starts your persuasion on the right track. That helps your teacher and readers know that you are professional and serious, and that you deserve an A on your paper.